Yo, what's up, YouTube? This is your boy Junior, aka Smoking Guns, out here in Tucson, Arizona, representing the Ultimate Fight Club, giving you the latest content in boxing and MMA news that is out. So, today's video, we are talking about Manny Pacquiao, and he came out in a couple of different media outlets responding to Jeff Horn. And it states in these media outlets that Manny Pacquiao turns down offer of a return with Jeff Horn. And Manny Pacquiao states, "I wanted a rematch when I lost, and they refused." Quote. And it goes on to state in the article, "I'll fight anybody," says superstar Manny Pacquiao. Yet while the amazing 40-year-old might or might not wind up facing Keith Thurman next, or maybe even fellow megastar and all-time great Floyd Mayweather, one man Pac-Man will not be fighting next or at any other time is Australian warrior Jeff Horn. As fans, of course, know, the Hornet scored the biggest win of his career back in July of 2017 when he stunned Pacquiao to take a unanimous decision and the WBO welterweight title. And now with Pacquiao back as big and maybe as good as ever, Horn has called for a return fight with the Filipino icon. Horn has fought up well above the 147-pound limit quite recently, but he would welcome a second fight with Pacquiao at welterweight. Horn would love the chance to prove his win was no fluke, but Pacquiao has poured cold water on such a notion. As quoted by the Manila Times, Pacquiao said that he will not be fooled again by Horn and that he wanted a rematch soon after he had lost to the Australian, but not any longer. "Unsettled business. I wanted a rematch when I lost to Horn, but they refused," Manny said. "Now that I've won in my comeback fight in the U.S., they're negotiating for a rematch. They were taking advantage of me. They took advantage of me the first time, but never again. They fooled me once." Quote. Now, with this article coming out and this statement that's being made by Manny Pacquiao, in a business standpoint, I can understand why he wouldn't want to rematch Jeff Horn. Just for the simple fact is, Jeff Horn, he no longer has a title, so there's nothing for him to really gain from that fight physical-wise. The main thing that he would gain from that fight is being able to nullify that loss that he has on his record, because he is going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's going to go down as one of the best of all time, but he is still going to have that asterisk on his record on how he lost to Jeff Horn. Not only did he lose to Jeff Horn, but he lost that WBO title to Jeff Horn, okay? Now, with that being said, two things in this interview bothers me. One of the first thing that bothers me is how he said that he feels like he got taken advantage of in the first fight. Now, I don't really think he got taken advantage of in the first fight. Maybe in the scorecards, he might feel like he got taken advantage of. But like I previously stated in my other video, in a technical standpoint, I saw Manny Pacquiao win in that fight. Like I said, he had the cleaner shots. He was the cleaner fighter in that fight. Where Jeff Horn, he made that fight a dirty, grimy fight. He didn't make it a boxing match. He made that friggin' fight a fight, dude. And it looked bad on Manny Pacquiao how Jeff Horn was able to rough him up, being able to keep him on the ropes, and so forth and so forth. And he literally dictated the pace of that fight. And I could see why he ended up taking the decision in that fight, because from the judges' standpoint, they probably looked at it as Jeff Horn roughed him up, fought his fight, and dictated the pace of that fight. So with that being said, I would want Manny Pacquiao to avenge that loss, just for the simple fact is he could erase that asterisk off of his record, just like he erased that asterisk off of his record when he rematched Timothy Bradley in a very controversial decision, because I had Manny Pacquiao definitively winning that fight. No controversy at all. And when they scored it to Timothy Bradley, I was looking like, what the hell kind of fight was the judges watching in that damn fight, man? But he ended up giving Timothy Bradley that rematch not once, but twice, to erase any kind of notion that Timothy Bradley is the better fighter in that fight. And that's the only reason I would want to see him fight Jeff Horn, just to show that he is the better fighter. Because as of now, it seems like Jeff Horn just has that type of style that will give Manny Pacquiao problems. He's a bigger fighter. He's a roughhousing type of fighter. He likes to push the pace, press the action. And it seems like that fight gave Manny Pacquiao a bunch of problems, except for that 9th round when Manny Pacquiao ended up hurting Jeff Horn. But besides that, like I said, he still landed the cleaner shots, but Jeff Horn gave him major problems in that fight. Now, the second thing that kind of bothers me in this interview is how he said he wanted the rematch, but Jeff Horn didn't want the rematch, which is false to me, because in a bunch of different media outlets, Jeff Horn was very adamant about giving Manny Pacquiao the rematch. But the only thing, he wanted to do it again in Australia. But Manny Pacquiao was very adamant about having that fight in the Philippines, which I can see why he wants that fight in the Philippines. have it in his home country, be able to do his thing out there. But at the same time, even at a business standpoint, you would think that more money would be generated in Australia, the revenue that you're going to generate at that gate. So it just seems like there's more money to be made in Australia from having a big ass fight like that, because they did fill up a stadium out there. So I'm pretty sure that that fight was very lucrative for Manny Pacquiao and Jeff Horn. And the thing is, I don't mind if Manny Pacquiao doesn't want to avenge this fight, but if he doesn't avenge this loss on his record and people still don't have a problem with his legacy still being intact and everything, then I think people need to shut their mouths about other fighters' legacy, especially one an example, Floyd Mayweather, where he is undefeated on his record, but at the same time, people still want to pick apart all of his fights. They want to pick apart, oh, he fought this fighter too late. Oh, he lost to this fighter. Oh, he lost to that fighter. Even though you guys want to say that he lost to particular fighters and he gave those fighters the rematches and then beat them even more definitively the second time, they still want to bring up the fact, oh, he still lost. Oh, he still lost. Well, if you want to do that with a guy like Floyd Mayweather, do not show double standards and doing that for other fighters like Manny Pacquiao, because he has a definitive loss. He has a definitive loss to Juan Marquez when Juan Marquez sparked his ass out. Show the same thing when dealing with a guy like Lomachenko, because everybody wants to tout Lomachenko as being the best thing since sliced bread, but at the same time, he still has that loss to Orlando Salido. And I still haven't seen him fight anybody with the particular style like Orlando Salido since. And he didn't want to give Orlando Salido the rematch because they didn't want to give Orlando Salido the money that he was worth. So instead of paying Orlando Salido the money he was worth, they walked away from that fight and ended up fighting somebody else. Now, if Floyd Mayweather was to do something like that, dude, they would have gave him hell all the way to right now, because they still give that fool hell all the way to right now just because of those damn fights, even though he gave the people the rematches and beat them even more definitively, and you will still never hear the end of it with those particular fights. But when you talk about a guy like Manny Pacquiao or Lomachenko, it seems like there's a huge double standard when it comes to talking about rematches or guys that you lost to. So like I said, at a business standpoint, I do not mind Manny Pacquiao not taking the fight and fighting somebody that he's going to get a lot more money for, like a guy like Keith Thurman, like the winner of Errol Spence and Mikey Garcia, because those will be big money fights. Those will be pay-per-view fights, and he can definitely generate a lot more money taking those particular fights than taking the fight over Jeff Horn. But if you want to talk about something within yourself as a fighter and being able to erase a loss off of your record, taking a fight with Jeff Horn is something that I would definitely do. And that is something that I would personally watch. And I know all the other fans out there would definitely watch that fight, just for the simple fact is that is a loss that you have on your record, and that is a style that gave you problems. So is that a style that will still give you problems, or do you have the skills to be able to adjust to that style and be able to definitively beat Jeff Horn in a rematch? So with that being said, I hope you guys like the video. If you guys like the video, make sure to hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you guys have any other questions, any kind of comments, hit me up in the comment section. I'll be sure to hit you guys up. All right. So I hope you like the video. Holla at your boy.